Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to SevTech Ages. So, since last episode, I have done a bit more building in this section, as you can probably already tell. I added a little bit of like greenery and stuff like that right through there, just kind of sprucing things up. Still got a ton of work. A lot of decorating on this floor and a lot of like cleanup bits and bobs. Over here, I threw some heads up there. I don't know if I'm going to keep them yet. But if we head into here, I did start cleaning up some of these rooms. I kind of just did like, I ended up just doing kind of like the Twilight Lich Tower, where there's just a ton of paintings, right? Just vanilla paintings. Because I just wanted a big like cluster of paintings along these walls here. And I threw up our extra skulls and stuff that we've got up on there, just because. I'm not going to say that I'm totally done. I do have a couple other little things I'd like to throw into this room, maybe. And of course I still have armor to put in here as well for our Twilight Armor collection. I want to say that is the Hydra armor, the blood armor stuff that I've still got to make, which is a little bit expensive. I also added some iron lattices up there, and I actually did that on a couple other spots, like right over there and right over there, almost like little like emergency drawbridges or something, you know, like, oh, it's an emergency, let's close all these off. I don't know. Actually, they look kind of cool, so. And I'm going to be using them actually as a decorative drawbridge downstairs whenever I get back down, because the first two floors aren't done. This floor and the floor below it, almost done. The top still got a ton of work. The towers, I haven't even started yet. But the first two floors I haven't even done at all. If we head back in here, I haven't actually started decorating this room out, but I did add the roof and kind of cleaned it up a little bit. And then if we head over here, kind of the same situation over here. So I added the roof. I haven't added the windows over here. Actually, I need to. I have the panes made. I just wasn't sure what kind of window I was going to put here, but I decided I'm going to go with those kind of panes to make it match kind of the back end of the castle. Because I'm using two different window types on this floor. Then right through here, I've actually got a couple heads. These are from, once you hit age 4, you have a lot of like NPCs spawning, and their heads do drop. So I'm sticking their heads up here. Because this floor is kind of like, this floor is a lot of like trophy area type stuff, so I'm sticking heads all over the place. And we'll get over to that area in just a second, but if we head out here, this area, I kind of just brought the fences up. That's the main thing I think that I did over here since last episode. But if we head back down here, I did clean up this little area a little bit. Right in here I've added some clay jars. I haven't actually put anything into them just yet. And then if we head up here, which these planters, by the way, they just grow random flowers. So I've actually just kind of left them. I may do some too tall flowers, or like some custom flowers, but for right now I'm just kind of leaving them as whatever they grow, right? Oh, and I added the windows back here. I've still got to do some work up there and everything. If we head over here, I've started working on the floors in this section. Not totally done. I've still got roofs and stuff to add. Still rains through to this floor a lot. And then if we step out here, we kind of have like a little balcony area. So, I actually like these iron lattices for balconies because they're kind of like, I mean, realistically, they should probably be a little bit taller than what they are, but I think they look all right. I think they look pretty good. So, and then if we head down here, this is where I actually spent a lot of time working. Oh, I added this painting right here. It was already in the pack, but it was already in my texture pack that I made, but I finally put one of them up. So I added that right there, and added a couple planters, and added a bit of greenery, some bamboo, and then I did these shoji and fusuma doors, or walls, right there. And I think it looks kind of nice, even from this side, but I think it looks much better on over here. And I added a little bit of like dividers, rails around here in some places, which these are subject to maybe change as the floor develops, because it's still kind of very much a work in progress. These floors are massive. So I feel like I've actually, over the, the last 2 episodes, I've put a big dent in this floor. I mean, it's a lot cleaner than it was, but it's still got a ton of work to do. And I've got to hit the roof there, and I've got to hit the roof on the floor below us as well, and finish out windows and stuff like that. And then over here, I did spend a bit of time. I'm still working on redoing all of this because I didn't like the soul sand. So I've pulled up all the soul sand, and that's going to get redone into something else. I've also placed down some dark oak slats. I was going to do ironwood, but I don't have the ironwood that I actually need. You know, that wood type, because it has to be the primal core ironwood. So at the moment, until I get that sapling, I can't really do ironwood. But it is what it is, I guess. But I think that dark oak actually looks pretty good there. And I'm going to do some stuff on there. I was going to do clay jars, but they actually will not set on these slats. So I'm going to put some other stuff down. I don't know exactly what just yet. And then over here, of course, I've carried through the greenery. So we have like just kind of a nice little, almost relaxing area. Kind of vibrant. Ceilings are up. I've still got to add like lighting and a little bit of decor and kind of shaping some of this up. You know, it's kind of rough at the moment, but also adding windows and whatnot. Right here, I added some tatami mats just in front of our Tatara furnaces. So just kind of make them look a little bit nicer instead of just, you know, a bland floor right there. And brought through the greenery, so we kind of have like this nice little garden area almost. And of course, this is all Zen Garden, Iron Sand Zen Garden. I'm not for sure if I'm going to stick with this design for the raked sand or if I'm going to change it. I was just kind of playing around with it. So, and actually, it's funny because you start raking sand, and of course that's what it's meant, like what it's meant to be for is kind of like a relaxing practice, you know, is the actual intention of, you know, raking sand. And it is, like whenever you get over here and you start like raking out sand, like you'll rake it and you'll play around with designs, and I ended up spending like an hour just over here messing around in this little garden. So I don't know, I don't even know if it's going to stay or if I'll like rake it and then clear it and then rake it and clear it like ever so often, just kind of as a relaxing place. So I mean, this is actually, this little area is kind of proving. I'm gonna do some stuff over here. I will say our ancestral infuser, I'm thinking about moving it over here because I want to set up an on and off dark room kind of thing, because it does require darkness for it to work. So I'm thinking what we'll do is set up some kind of a little piston system that, you know, creates darkness around it. I don't know if I'll use redstone lamps and just toggle off the lights, or if I will actually have like a piston system that closes up the room and makes it dark. But I am thinking about moving that over there. That way this area, I can kind of set up seating and just kind of like a little relaxing area. Maybe put a desk down and whatnot. So I think that would be kind of nice, because this area is actually kind of peaceful within the castle. So I mean, there's no machines running, there's no noise, and there's just all these like all this plant life. So I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. And I'm trying to, I've still got to do a lot of work. Like I said, this is really, really rough. But that's kind of my goal with it, is just to make like a nice, relaxing area. And I will say up on the top, there are going to be some like open gardens as we go up the castle, which are probably also going to be pretty relaxing. But I really like that area right there. I actually have to make sure whatever I put up here, it can't make a lot of noise or anything. So I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to stick up there. I may actually carry up the trophy idea and do just like armor over there. Because I do have the 3 armor rooms, but of course this one right here is just for Twilight Forest. This one is for something, and that one is for something. In addition, I have opened this up because we're going to be working here today. I've opened this little area up, and I did a prep chest. Look at this. I've prepped lots of things. These actually weren't too bad to craft, because if you throw the speed upgrades in the hopper, it's like, you know, it's like instant, it's instant transfer, and so then it's just pretty much just seamless, just craft to get the speed upgrades. However, the volume upgrades, this was actually pretty terrible. It's not that bad because I can craft compressed iron. I was crafting, let's see, the first time I crafted 6 or 7 stacks, and the second time I crafted like 6 more stacks, then I crafted like 4 more stacks. I've ate through compressed iron like it was going out of style between the elevator frames and the liquid compressors, and the elevator bases used a few, and then blocks of compressed iron, heat sinks, all this stuff, and then the volume upgrades especially, just tons of compressed irons, because sadly the air canisters don't stack. So I was basically like filling out my inventory with air canisters and then just dropping everything on the ground and like standing there on top of it like crafting, because of course once I get to the upgrades they stack. So, but yeah, so that's what we're going to start with today, is the elevator, and then we're going to start kind of gearing up, getting ready to go to the end. I got to thinking, I don't know for sure that we're going to get to the end today. We'll see, because we're going to do the elevator. We're going to get that thing set up, which is really, really exciting. And then, which we're going to do like a separate kind of little mini pneumatic system that pretty much just powers the elevator system. is all it's really going to be for. And then we're going to get into like the minigun. We might get the pneumatic helmet. We'll see where we're at. And then we also have to get our flamethrower. Especially the minigun and the flamethrower, those are important because we're going to take those to the end with us. And then I got to thinking what we'll probably do to finish out the episode is maybe just cover some of the cooking with blockhead stuff. I will say that this is so late in the pack. Once again, it's one of those mods that they stuck so late in the pack, H4, that by this point I don't even care about food. And on top of that, I'm not manually crafting food. I don't even manually eat anymore. Which has been amazing, by the way. Not having to even like think about the food, not having to watch the food bar, and not even having to worry about it at all. It just feeds me. So it's been quite nice. Been quite nice indeed. Probably the best thing that I've crafted on here in a long time. I love the aerial interface. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started with our elevator. That'll be our first objective for today. And for those of you that haven't seen any of my previous series where I use pneumatic craft, the elevator is by far my favorite, probably my favorite block of pneumatic craft, just because, like, of course, I'm a builder at heart, and I love this elevator. It is the best elevator. Like, the Better with Mod ones is really, really cool. I actually quite like it, but I really like the pneumatic craft elevators. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm actually just going to place down 4 bases right here, because we're going to do a 2x2, I think. I was thinking about doing a 4x4, but I just think it'll be a lot of pressure that we'll need to run this thing. So honestly, I think a 2x2 is generally pretty good. It's generally a pretty solid setup. So I'm just going to throw down those elevator bases there just to get an idea of where it's going to set. We'll actually talk about it here in just a minute. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and set up our liquid compressor system. And so what we're going to do, let's actually set our liquid compressors down. We're going to go here, and we're going to do 9 of these liquid compressors. And I know it's not going to be completely even, but I crafted the 8 of them, and then I was like, oh yeah, I've got that leftover liquid compressor. So I was like, you know, from last episode. So I was like, well, I'll just throw down another one. That's fine. That's not a problem. So we'll just put down 9 advanced liquid compressors. And then what I want to do is we're going to run some advanced pressure tubes, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 right there. And we'll just put that away for right now. And then right down here, actually, let's actually clear some of this stuff away here. Let's actually pull this stuff up. And I'm going to go ahead and dig a line out underneath our liquid compressors. And this is going to be for the fluid. We're going to put the fluid line down beneath the compressors this time. Because this is all going to be hidden up under the floor. And it's going to pretty much be like, once we get this set up, we shouldn't have to mess with it at all. Unless I just happen to pop down here to throw down another, you know, maybe some volume upgrades or something like that. But I think I've crafted enough volume upgrades that I'm not going to have to worry about it too much. So then we're just going to run fluid pipes down along through here. It's pretty standard up to this point. And we'll bring it out like 1 more. We'll have it setting like right there. And then let's go ahead and get ourselves our nodes. So I've got an output node, input node, master routing node, and I've got a couple fluid filters. So our output node, we're going to set this right here. And then let's pop over. Right here is our gasoline tank. Let's grab that. We're going to say that the south side is going to be our input node. South side, fluid filter, gasoline. There we go. Let's go ahead and just grab this node. And we will just pop down, connect it up to our output node. And our output node, we're going to say, once again, the south side is going to have our fluid filter with gasoline. And then we'll just set down our master node setting like right there. And there we go. Starting to fill up with gasoline. And I'm going to go ahead and set these to... I'm actually going to set these to high signal for just a second. Just because I don't really want these running at the moment. Okay, and those should be steadily filling up with gasoline. Now I need to go grab my pneumatic wrench real quick. I've still got it in the charging station, so... And while I'm down there, I might as well go ahead and order a little bit more stabilized metal, because here soon, we're going to need a lot of that, so I'm trying to stay on it. I'm not doing the best job in the world, but I am trying to stay on it at least somewhat. And I basically just need this for one small thing here. And that is, right here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to go ahead and just, let's see, let's go to 5 for this side. And we'll just right-click that. So we're going to have 5 on this side, 4 on this side, and then what we're going to do is, let's grab our advanced pressure tubes, and we're going to bring out pressure right there, and we're going to plug it into our elevator. And then right over here, we're going to bring out and plug into the elevator from this side. Okay, and that's pretty much all the pressure tubes that we're going to need, because these elevators actually all connect, and they form kind of a multi-block. So even though these two are the only ones getting pressure, at the moment you can see that these have a 1.3 bar of pressure in them. Okay, and your max pressure here is 5. So just a heads up, that's why I shut those off real quick. And I actually forgot to craft a limiter for that. Even though technically, no, I think I'm actually going to do a limiter. I was going to say, well, technically I can just shut these off once I hit like about a 5 bar, but I think I'd rather just limit it coming through there instead of shutting that off. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, yeah, so let me craft up, I'm going to have to craft 2 of the regulator tube modules, then I'm going to craft 2 advanced PCBs as well. Okay, so we're just going to put our regulator tube setting right here. And then, let me close that off. There we go. Then over here, we're going to put one setting right there. Okay, so our regulator tubes are placed. And then let's go ahead and put down some advanced PCBs on those. And go. There we go. Okay. And then we're going to say that the threshold is going to be 5 bars. Okay. And then over here, we're going to say 5 bars. Let's actually say, just to be safe, let's go with 4.9 bars of pressure. And then over here, 4.9. Or let's go 4.8. Yeah, 4.8 will be fine, because I'm going to use some volume upgrades in this, so I'm not too concerned about it. So 4.8 will be good. So only 4.8 bars of pressure is going to be allowed past this point. And then let's go ahead and set ourselves down some pressure gauge tube modules. So we're going to put one setting right there. We're going to put one setting right there. And then advanced PCBs in those. So bam and bam. Okay. And we're going to say emit when it's higher than, we'll say 19.5. Okay. So it's going to emit a redstone when it's higher than 19.5 bars of pressure in that tube right there, because that's kind of where all of them are kind of culminating. So I think if we emit, let's actually, just to be on the safe side, just to make sure that nothing bad happens, let's say 19 bars of pressure. And over here we're going to say 19 bars of pressure, because I really don't have to min-max this system, because I'm only using at the most 5 bars of pressure. So everything past that is just kind of for the sake of it. Plus we're going to be using volume upgrades in mass. So I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be alright. So, alright, so that stuff's in place. And then let's connect up the redstone real quick. Just really fast. So we're going to put a redstone. That actually might affect that liquid compressor. It should be emitting right now, because it should be higher than a 0.5, but it's not affecting this one, it looks like. So then if I was to connect this up, say that that's output, and connect that over, that is now running. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna bring this back to emit when it's higher than 19. Alright, and then we're just going to set up redstone wire connectors there, and there, and set all these to output. So we'll just connect that over, and then over here we're going to throw down these, and throw one on top of that, set all these to output, and then just connect them over like so. Now these actually might transfer redstone through them, so I could maybe do just every other one, and then maybe if this side goes above 19, it might shut off this one. I don't know for sure if it will transfer, because theoretically I think it might, but I'm not really concerned about it, because it's honestly not going to matter. We're going to have so many compressors running that, I mean, this thing's going to stay filled, so. And I'm not too worried about saving materials on doing like every other one, because it really, materials don't really matter. Like, for example, since last episode, of course, last episode we got down to about 10 stacks of iron, and it literally took me no time, and of course it was all just automatic. But we are up to 51 stacks of iron, and I used a lot of stacks of iron since last episode. Crafting things like iron lattices, and crafting things like compressed iron out the wazoo. So I'm really not concerned about resources, to say the least. Okay, so the redstone is plugged up, and then I'm going to go through and just set all these to redstone behavior enable on a low signal on all of these. Oh wow, this is kind of crazy, right? Okay, so if you look at the sentient bow, that's what it looks like right now. If I open up one of these liquid compressors, it becomes like a really dark texture. And only that block, too. Or only that bow becomes really, really dark. I just now noticed that. I didn't notice it last episode, but it's quite interesting. Okay, so these are all kicking out pressure, and these, well, they're up to 5.1 bars of pressure at the moment. This tube is getting the pressure built up in it. You can see that right now this is setting at a 4.8 bar, and that's as high as it's going to go, right? Because we've got the threshold here set to 4.8. You can see the actual pressure in the regular tube module is 5.8, but it's not going to allow any more than 4.8 coming through to this elevator. And so then what we're going to do, now that that stuff's in place, now that we've got air pressure going, I do need to handle the heat sinks. And we're going to be doing this slightly different than last episode. And the reason being is because I have this tendency to... I love Pneumaticraft's elevators. Like, as I said, they're probably my favorite block in the mod. In a mod that I actually quite love a lot. Pneumaticraft is probably one of my top picks for tech mods, just because it's very unique and very, I don't know, different, and not just, oh look, it's a bunch more RF machines, and I quite like that. But I also have this tendency to just ride elevators up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. After I get them set up, I just ride them like over and over again, because they're just really satisfying. They make a really cool sound, and they're a good elevator. So what we're going to do is we are going to put down heat sinks, because there's a chance that I might need more heat sinks than just one with the advanced liquid compressors, because of the fact that I may very well be riding these up and down a bit. So I want to make sure that the temperature gets dispersed better than it does over in the other building, because over there, I mean, honestly, the system's staying steady right now. It's like, you know, it runs for a minute if I go and craft a couple things, but generally it's not running, because it's mainly just for auto crafting, and then the aerial interface uses up a little bit, you know, whenever it feeds me and stuff like that. Speaking of, it's going to feed me here in just a minute. So what we're going to do to deal with the temperature is we're actually going to use compressed iron, because if we place these compressed iron blocks down, now there's actually some, you can see right here, apart from being used as a crafting component, it's also an excellent heat conductor. And there's actually a couple other blocks that can be used as heat conductors, but this one I believe compressed iron is like the best that you can get, unless it's been changed. But I believe I'm right on that. So, and so what we're going to do is we're actually going to conduct the heat out of these liquid compressors by placing this down. You can see the temperature on this just jumped up to 75 degrees Celsius. And then if we bring it out again, we have 74 degrees Celsius. And it's basically pulling heat, and it's dispersing the heat from the liquid compressor into these blocks of compressed iron. So then if I place heat sinks on these, we can have two heat sinks, both dispersing the heat from that. And it's actually going to cool this off a little bit quicker. And I may find myself adding a third piece of compressed iron out. But what I'm also going to do is connect these up to there. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to just run a line of compressed iron like this. So you can see right over here we have some really hot ones, 102 degrees. But they're actually going to slowly balance out across all of these blocks of compressed iron. So then if we do heat conductors, these are all just one big heat conductor system. So all of these heat conductors, of course, all of these are going to be adding heat to the bulk of all these compressed iron, but all these compressed iron blocks are going to be dispersing the heat. So it's going to be basically pulling the heat from each of the liquid compressors, dispersing it across all of our compressed iron blocks, and then being dispersed by our heat sinks. So we're actually running double the heat sinks that we were over in the castle. And you can see we're already down to 62 degrees. This was, what, 100 and something a second ago? But it's balanced out so much that the temperature is actually dropping pretty steadily. 58 degrees, 57 degrees, 56 degrees, and that's true across the board. There's 54 degrees over here. Of course, these were a little bit cooler, so it hasn't dispersed. It hasn't transferred its heat all the way over to here, but we're already down to 48 degrees Celsius on this side, and these are running at the moment. Actually, it says it's got a redstone signal right now. What do I have this set as? Emit when it's... No, I want it higher than. Higher than, okay. That's higher than, okay. Alright, so these are running now. This side had stopped running because this for some reason changed over to lower than, even though I never changed that setting. But anyways, it's kind of dispersing out through. Beautiful. So we're setting it at about 42 degrees, which is, I mean, that's 100% efficiency. That one's at 50 degrees Celsius, but it's slowly cooling down. So, and then, like I said, if I wanted to, I can do another line of compressed iron with another line of heat sinks. You know, 9 more blocks of compressed iron, 9 more heat sinks. These are down to 39 degrees Celsius. Oh yeah, these are dropping well below, because it's like, what, 51 degrees Celsius, right? Let me see. I can't remember. I think it's 50... it doesn't say, but I think it's around like 51 degrees or something like that it starts dropping, but it's setting at 37 degrees Celsius, and these are running at the moment. Oh, wait, no. This one is higher than... Oh, this one's at 19 bars of pressure. Okay, so those have already finished up. These are steadily filling up. 9.7 at present. But you can see our elevators are still setting at a beautiful 4.8 bars of pressure. Okay, so now what we're going to do, let's go ahead and finish out our pneumatic side of things with just a couple upgrades here. So I'm going to throw in, first up, volume upgrades. And I'm going to split these up. And I think we're going to do like we'll start with 2 volume upgrades. And speed upgrade, 2 volume upgrades, speed upgrade, down the line. And then if I find that I need more, which I might, I'll throw those in there. It's not a problem. But for right now, this will be fine. Honestly, long term, I'll probably throw a bunch of volume upgrades in these, just because it's nice. But I'm more concerned with putting a bunch of volume upgrades into our elevator bases. Okay, so that stuff's in place, and really our pneumatic system is done. I'm actually done with all of that stuff at the moment. And really all we have left, and I'm actually done with that too, all we have left is just the elevator stuff. Okay, so let's grab our elevator bases. These are first and foremost, this is the first thing that we should be placing down. So your elevator bases. There is a couple features in here that we're going to be going over. Some of it, I believe you have to use the, yeah, you do. There used to be, of course now they have the camouflage, what's it called? Camouflage applicator. I was about to say camouflage wrench at first. Camouflage applicator. That's kind of a newer feature. Used to, you actually had a camouflage setting that was inside of your elevators and inside of your elevator frames and whatnot. And you would actually just put blocks into that and it would copy it. There was actually like 2 slots, because there was one for, basically you had 2 slots. You had one that did the elevator floor, and then you had one that did the elevator frames. And you access them all through just the elevator base. But it was changed a little bit more recently to have the camouflage applicator, which I actually quite like, because you can actually use it with your pneumatic tubes. Because used to, you couldn't camouflage those. Now you can, which is quite nice. Which we're going to be getting into that this episode. So the first thing that we're going to do, these elevator bases, each elevator base can basically bring the elevator up and down 4 blocks. Okay. Now the elevator, of course, when I say bring it down, it can't go below the elevator bases. You know, that's common sense. Your elevator bases are going to be the bottom of the elevator. But each of your elevator bases are going to be able to move it 4 blocks, and they can be stacked. So I've actually measured this out, and I'll measure it one more time here on camera, but it should be 20 blocks that we're gonna be wanting to move this. Okay, so our tape measure, let's go ahead and measure this out from the very bottom of our structure up to the top here. So measuring to right there, you can see it's 20 meters. So it's 20 meters from the lip of this section to the lip of that section. Which really, I think it's only 19 because this would be the base. This is where the base is going to set. So it could move up 20, so it would be one above that top floor. But it doesn't really matter if you go over. Just make sure you have enough of them. So there we go. It's now level with our floor, which is where I want it. And by the way, you don't have to do your elevators in like a square like this. You can have, you know, I could do elevators around the side and have like a block cut out in the middle that's not elevator. You know, you can do different shapes like that. But for my design, I think just a 2x2 elevator will be perfect for this. But I do have some plans when it comes to the towers, because we're going to put probably some of these elevators within the towers, at least within a couple of them. And I do have some plans to do some cutout designs with those. So, but we'll get into those a little bit later on. So, anyways, now that we have our elevator bases in, which we're going to get all this stuff up and running here in just a second, but the next thing that we need to do is we need to take and put down elevator frames. And these need to basically cover, shift right click to place the first ones here. You're going to need to cover every single block space that this is going to be moving through. Luckily, these things are pretty cheap to craft. These things, they just require some compressed iron, makes 4 of them at a time. So they're really not that expensive once you get your pneumatic system really up and going. You know, it's funny because RF Tools actually in the not so distant future, it's been out for a little while, but it's a somewhat newer addition to RF Tools. But they actually made an elevator that kind of mimics the pneumatic raft elevator, but the funny thing is, like, it doesn't even come close to being as cool as the pneumatics elevator is. I mean, it takes a little bit less setup, but it's not nearly as good. And that's because it doesn't have, like, the really cool sounds. And, you know, it's not air pressure. It's so much cooler when it's, like, air pressure and it's making pneumatic sounds. If you're not familiar with the elevator, just wait, because it's about to get really cool up in the storage room. So, I'm really excited for this. I've been waiting to, like, get this thing set up for a while. You know, originally, like I said, I was going to do better with mods elevator here, but I changed my mind because it actually produces a decent amount of lag. Probably a little bit less if we did timer systems on it, but I actually have my other 2 elevators turned off right now. Because even with timer systems, I mean, it's still a little bit of lag, and they're just so cumbersome. I haven't worried too much with them. Okay, so right now we've brought our elevator up to, you know, the floor that it's going to go to. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring it up like 2 more, and I'll explain why that is here in just a moment. Okay, so we're going to bring it up to there. Even though the elevator is not going to come up to this floor, or up this high, I still want it brought up all the way to here. And the reason being is because we're going to set up elevator collars. And these things are awesome. These things are just, they're awesome. Let's see, I've got to figure out what kind of block I want to run up through the center here. And I'm thinking I want to bring slate up and do this in slate. So we'll just run slate around this, like so. I'm gonna leave one little block space open for right now, and that's so that we can get back down there. We're about to be done down there here in just a minute, but for right now, let's go ahead and just bring slate around like so. And let's see, right there is going to be a collar system. So I'm going to bring this down like that. And I'm going to do this for each of the floors. Okay, so I've basically got like a wall here. And what we're going to do is we're going to put down an elevator collar setting right here. We're going to put another one setting right here. And then we're going to do one right here. And then one right there. Okay, so we have 4 different floors that are showing up on this. And the first thing I want to do is I want to, right here, redstone behavior, I want to set this from control the elevator by redstone. I want to set it to elevator collars. You have both of those options, and we're going to be using a collar system. And then we're going to go to floor names. Floor 1, we're going to say ground floor. And then we're going to hit right here, or right here, yeah. Okay, this is floor 4, so we're going to say, I don't know if we want descriptive names, or let's say RS system. Okay, and then floor 3 is sorting floor. Okay, because that's where I've got all those chests and stuff like that. This may change over time. It's easy to change the names. Then floor 2, we're going to say we're going to say extra storage is floor 2. Okay, and then if we exit out, you can see ground floor, extra storage, sorting floor, and RS system. Okay, and now we're pretty well set. So if I hit right here, if I hit extra storage, it's gonna take us up. And there we go. And I love the sounds that it makes. I really, really do. It's really, really good sounds. If we go to sorting floor, we're gonna go ahead and check all the floors and make sure that all of them work. So there's sorting floor, and then up to the RS system floor. Now you'll notice as you get away from the elevator base, it makes, you know, the sound is a whole lot less. And you can't really hear it once you get so far away from it, but all the floors do work. So then what I want to do is I want to take and set up an elevator collar right here, facing off in this direction. And let's see. I wish you could, yeah, you can't. I was going to say, I wish you can have it set up so you just have like a call button. So it brings the, you know, the elevator to the floor that you're at, but that's okay. And we're going to set another one right here, and it's going to copy all the floors and everything. And then let's go down to extra storage. And we'll set one down right there. And then once again down to the ground floor. And we'll set our last elevator collar right there. Okay, and so now that stuff's in place. And what we're going to do next is add some upgrades. Because right now, I mean, it's really nice, but it's kind of slow. And I want to show you something as well with the upgrades. Now, let's say we click right here, okay? And we put in, let's say, 2 volume upgrades. And you'll notice right here it doesn't have the volume upgrades. And then let's say, let's put in 3 speed upgrades. And now let's hit extra storage. You'll notice that this one shoots up, whereas the other ones don't. So you do need to make sure and balance out your speed upgrades if you want your elevator to be balanced. So let's go over here and let's add, you know, a couple volume upgrades. I've got 2 in here. Let me bump it up to like 4 volume upgrades to start with. And we'll do 4 right there. 4 right there, and then I need to do the 3 speed upgrades. Now be careful with your speed upgrades. If you make it too fast, it's going to eat through pressure, but of course you can kind of balance that out with volume upgrades. So just bear that in mind, because you can make elevators that just consume way too much pressure. So now let's hit extra storage floor. There we go. And ground floor. A lot nicer, right? And just bear in mind that your elevator, of course, I put the upgrades in this layer of the elevator bases, but it does carry down to your lower floors, or your lower sections of elevator bases. So all of your elevators that are stacked on top of each other, all of those are going to have the same upgrades. So they basically become like a multi-block system. So let's go ahead and add in, let's do 7 volume upgrades in these. Actually, I'm going to bump it up to 10. We're going to have 10 volume upgrades in there. And let's try 4 speed upgrades. I can't remember the sweet spot that I tend to like. I want to say it's like 4, maybe 5, to make like a kind of a nice elevator that's decently fast. So now if we hit extra storage, there we go. Sorting floor, there we go. RS system, there we go. And back down to the ground floor. And you can see it's barely pulled any pressure out of there. So we can pretty consistently ride the elevator up and down, especially having this system over here, you know, setting at 20 bars with some volume upgrades. I'm going to add, I think, a couple more volume upgrades to these. I'm going to have to craft some more, though. Okay, so anyways, I think as far as the elevator goes, I think this is pretty good for right now. That's a pretty decent speed, I think. We'll bump it up one more so I can show you the difference. Let's go to 5 speed upgrades. I feel like I want to say 5 and up. I feel like it's just unrealistically fast. So I think 4 was my sweet spot I tend to use. Let's say sorting floor. Ground floor. I mean, that's pretty fast. Do I want to keep it at 5? I don't know. I kind of like 5. Let's bump it up to 6. Let's see what happens. Alright, sorting floor. crazy fast. I don't know, it's kind of nice though. It is kind of nice. maybe I'm going to leave it as that for now. 6 upgrades. I think that's good. So there we go. And that system, I mean, it's pretty well set. Pretty well done. I may spruce up the walls here and maybe add, you know, maybe like iron bars or something like that. I don't know. I may add some little bars here to kind of block this in, make it look a little bit nicer. But we'll see. But regardless, we now have an elevator system, and it really wasn't that bad. It really wasn't that bad to set up a nice little system for this. And it's a fast elevator. I mean, it's not like those, you know, the elevator blocks, but I think it's 10 times, 100 times better than those. I don't really like those because they're just kind of magic blocks, whereas this actually looks and feels like a real elevator, which I do quite like. And then if I want to control it from off the elevator, like let's say it was up at the RS system, and I wanted to call it down, hit the ground floor button, there we go. And that's all there is to it. Now let's make our camouflage applicator. So this right here, air canister, not a problem. I've actually got pressure tubes on hand. Okay, so we got our camouflage applicator. Let's pop over and get this thing charged up. And actually, while I'm charging stuff up, let me go ahead and make the minigun as well, because we're going to need to charge this thing up. So block of compressed iron, cannon barrel, which I've actually got. Okay, so there is our minigun. Awesome. And let's go ahead and we'll just throw in our minigun. Oh, this actually crafts with full pressure. Interesting. Alright, we'll take our camouflage applicator and just throw this in there. And this does have some speed upgrades. Let's throw a few more into this. Let's do like 10 speed upgrades to make charging a lot faster. And I'm going to go ahead and just do that on each of these. Okay, so we're going to take our camouflage applicator, and if we just hold this in our hand, you can see it's going to highlight anything that can be camouflaged. And I could have swore the elevator frames could be camouflaged. Maybe not. That's fine. I don't really mind the way that they look, honestly. I think they look pretty good. So what we can do, we can actually camouflage our elevator collars, and I do want to camouflage those. So what we're going to do is we're going to sneak right-click our slate tiles, and then we're just going to right-click, and look at that. Now it blends in. Instead of having that yellow texture, and you can see it says camo slate tile right there. And then we can do that. And I love the sound that it makes too. Pneumatic Craft, one of the best things about it is just how much effort was put into the sound effects for it. I don't know why I'm not using the elevator. Let's call it up here. There we go. It might be a little bit fast. I don't know. I like riding the elevator, and this is like, pew, the elevator rides over, but it's kind of convenient. So I don't know. I'm going to give it some thought. I may change it up. Okay, and then we can also camouflage our elevator base. And we only really have to camouflage the top one. Okay, I think I'm going to go with that. That's chopping blocks from Better with Mods. Or Better with Add-ons? I can't remember. One or the other. Better with Mods. Chopping blocks. I think I'm going to go with that. I think I like it. And then once I put the fences... I might change it. Once I put the fences on. I don't know for sure. So, we'll see. But we do have ourselves an elevator system now. Oops. And it looks like it only it doesn't camouflage the actual elevator floor. As you can see, like even once we get up to the top, it seems like it only camouflages it when it's at the bottom. Which is fine. And you can use the camouflage applicator for quite a few different things as well. Like if you take a look here, all of the pneumatics pipes can be camouflaged. So you can put just blocks in their block space. And I will be camouflaging these for behind these grates. Among other things. I mean, I'll probably camouflage up here. Might actually run it up right there and then bring it over. But I'll probably be cleaning up a bit of this room, kind of hiding up hiding our all of our pneumatics cables and stuff like that. You can also camouflage these, which I do want to do. Do I have any ferrocolites? Because if I recall, it only camouflages the bottom. Let's see, I may actually change it, not have it as ferrocolite, but I'm going to do ferrocolite for now. So if we camouflage our charging stations... Oh, never mind. It actually changes it into that block. I don't want that. I was hoping it just did the base. So, yeah. But you can still access the charging station. So, I mean, I guess I could turn it into something else, but if you want to remove a camo, just shift right click the AR to get rid of any camo settings, and then just right click that. So, okay, but anyways, that's enough of that. If you have any questions or anything, let me know. But I think I've covered it pretty well, and the elevator as well. If you have any questions about that, let me know. But okay, so anyways, now we've got our minigun. Let's go ahead and actually make some ammo for this. And you actually craft these 1,000 bullets per minigun, and these can be enchanted with unbreaking, and I think mending, yeah, mending as well. And you can also dip your, you can craft them together with any potion, and it'll tip the bullets with that effect. I'm actually just reading it right off there, but you can do that. And you can see right here, if you hold shift, you can actually use these bullets with your minigun, but also sentry turrets and drones with entity tracker upgrades. So, but anyways, your bullets, they're just gunpowder, gold, and compressed iron. Couldn't be easier to craft, honestly. So let me make up, of course, there's 1,000 bullets per ammo. I'm going to go ahead and craft up like 3 of these. They're super cheap and definitely worth it. Minigun actually does pretty decent damage, in truth. So there we go. There's 3 of those. Okay, I actually went ahead and cut for a little bit. That's because we're already at 46 minutes, and I still want to cover the flamethrower and get that up and going. So I did go ahead and cut, and I made up some potions of harming, instant damage 2. Of course, 3 of those. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our gun ammo. We're going to take at least 1 of these. We may do the other 2, but for right now I'm just going to do 1. Because honestly, I may not even need the other 2 in truth. And we're going to take our instant damage 2 potion and put that on there. I like instant damage 2 because you're going to be hitting the enemies extremely fast. So for most like effects, like if you did wither or poison or something like that, you know, it's only just going to keep refreshing the effect. It's not going to like increase the damage, whereas instant damage is instant damage. You know, it's instant extra damage per shot, which is quite nice. So we're going to stick instant damage 2 on this. So this thing, with the minigun, with how fast it fires, it's actually going to be a killing machine here in just a second. And then just to make it even crazier, we're going to go ahead and take our gun ammo and we're going to stick unbreaking on there. Unbreaking 3. I have a fortune. I'm using a fortune 3 unbreaking 3, but not too worried about that. And we're going to go ahead and stick mending on it as well. So it's going to be unbreaking 3 and mending. I'm not too worried about getting mending 3 at this point because I have an XP tank. I can just go over there and hold the gun ammo, and there we go. So let's grab our minigun and let's go out and shoot something with this. Let's go out and find ourselves a monster to hit. Okay, here's a skeleton. Okay, so watch this. Watch how much damage this thing does. It has to charge up. Oh, it's strangely enough, it's not registering my shots. No! Alright, let me try... I mean, I was using this earlier and it was working fine. Okay, let me try just putting potion of harming. I recall this used to work. Let's see. Put that on there. Ah. Okay, potions, your potions of harming and stuff, they do not work with it. With the instant damage too, it's not working. Oh, that's too bad. That kind of ruins my plan a little bit. Because this thing, if you put instant damage 2 on there, it actually does a lot of damage. But it's still... It's still a decent ranged weapon with how fast it fires. Not to mention the knockback from my necklaces. It's actually pretty powerful. But, So we can't use the instant damage. I'll have to play around and see if I can find a better effect then, since that doesn't work. I mean, if worse comes to worse, I mean, we can always do... I don't know, I'm playing around my test world probably, but we can do like weakness, which is pretty good, or wither from cyclic. You can put that on there, or even just poison or something like that. So, I mean, we can do something else, but I'm gonna play around my test world and make sure that it works before I make another one. So, but the mending and the unbreaking does work. You'll use less bullets with unbreaking, and then of course you can mend it. So I'll have to get another Unbreaking 3 book. Well, actually you can take this and you can just craft it. Speed, regeneration. Okay. No negative effects over here, but yeah, you can recraft it. So we can still save our enchants. So that'll be fine. I'll figure out something else. I mean, if worst comes to worst, like I said, I'm going to test it in my test roll before I put something on here and go through the trouble of making more potions. But I think Wither or something should be fine. Or Weakness would be pretty good too. Because that would increase the damage that we deal. It's just not... It's basically just going to be refreshing the effect, but that's okay. So, but the minigun is actually pretty powerful. Even without the instant damage too, it's still a really powerful weapon. It doesn't do as much damage, let's say, as the sentient bow. I mean, the sentient bow is pretty good, but it fires so rapidly. Not to mention that we have, our gems flying around us here that add effects to that minigun. And then you put potion effects on there. 1,000 shots. Unbreaking 3, mending. I mean, it's a pretty powerful ranged weapon, honestly. Because you're hitting them with just constant potion effects. Which is pretty nice. It is really, really nice. So, okay, so let's pop over here. I'll get that figured out before we go to the end. I'm going to pop into my test world and spend a bit of time trying to figure out what would be the best for us. But I did go ahead and set up a new multi-block. We're going to be building a new multi-block for our flamethrower. I built out this right here. And we're actually going to create it here. This is a bottling machine. So I think we click redstone engineering block. Conveyor belt? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this is the bottling machine. This thing does require some RF power, so let's go ahead and give it to it. HV wire connector right there, and then we'll just run this over there. And basically what the bottling machine does is it'll take any liquid that's fed into it from this little slot right here. It's going to take that liquid and it's going to bottle it into items that are sent down this conveyor line. So all we're going to do is we're going to set a tank right here in front of this. And it's going to start getting the napalm that's built up in here. And then we're going to take a bucket. And basically all we're going to do is we're going to put an input node setting there. We're going to say downside, fluid filter with napalm. And then we're going to connect this over to a master node. And connect the master node down. And we're going to put an output node setting over here. Do I want to put a fluid pipe? Let's see. Yeah, let's do a fluid pipe just to be safe before I even bother setting all this stuff up. Output node setting there, downside, fluid filter, and there we go. And if we give it a second, oh yeah, I need to link this up. We can see that napalm is going to start filling up into this little tank here. Let's actually try, let's see if this will actually just feed in directly. So that is the west side fluid filter, connect that to there, because this is base immersive engineering, so it is filling up. Awesome. Okay, now I need to get a hopper and a chest. Or a hopper and something. Doesn't really matter. By the way, I did do this too. I put little, just wrought iron bars from Better With Add-ons. I put that around our elevator, which I think actually looks pretty nice. I actually quite like it. Which, really, I could just drop it onto there. Whenever I need it filled. And you'll notice it kind of gets lifted up and put there, because I'm not going to be filling this thing up all the time. So, honestly, I think that'll be fine. I don't really need a hopper for that. You can see we have a nice little GUI at the bottom right there. It says napalm, and it shows a fuel gauge. That means that we have napalm in this, and that's how much fuel we have. You can look right here. We have 2,000 millibuckets out of 2,000 millibuckets in our chemical thrower of napalm. So, I really wish I could have a gas mask. I really want a gas mask, in truth. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our chemical thrower and we're going to stick it onto our engineer's workbench. And you can see it's placed down right there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add upgrades. Now there's actually 3 different upgrades that you can make. And we'll go ahead and open this up. you can make the large tank. It increases the internal tank size of the mining drill and the chemical thrower. Increases it by 2,000 millibuckets. So it's going to double the tank size of our chemical thrower, which is kind of nice. There is also a focused nozzle, decreased spread, and increases the range of the chemical thrower. That's very nice, because normally the chemical thrower just kind of spews it all over the place. Focused nozzle is going to focus it down and make it a lot more accurate, you know. And then there is also the multi-tank. Allows multiple fluids in the chemical thrower. Now this you cannot use with the large tank, so you're not going to be able to increase the tank size, but it allows you to you know, have a couple different fluids in there, and you can toggle between them. 3 different fluids. Allows you to store up to 3 different fluids in there. So if you're using the chem thrower for like multiple purposes, you can put stuff in there, because you can actually like shoot this stuff, you know, into the world and everything too. So it's really kind of a nice tool, but I just want it for napalm. I want it as a weapon of mass destruction. So we're going to put in the focus nozzle and the large tank. And there we go. And we can go ahead and just pull that out. And now you can see that we have 4,000 total millibuckets in this thing. And you can actually see the little nozzle there at the end that was added. And if we take a look here, look at that. So there we go. We have ourselves a weapon of mass destruction. Now in addition, there's one other thing I would like to do. Let me fill this up real quick, because we added another 2,000 millibuckets that it can store. So there we go. Now there is one other thing that I would like to add to this, and that is I would like to add a shader to this, because we do have a lot of shaders from our shader grab bags. So right here we've got the kindled, the ancient, twilly. Let me grab just let me grab one of each of these, and we'll figure out which one we want to put onto our chemical thrower. Okay, so we'll drop this on our workbench. Let's try sponsor, because it's been a while since I went through all these. This is like the Coca-Cola looking one. Is what it always makes me think of. So N7 is the Mass Effect one. I liked the first Mass Effect. I did not like Mass Effect 2 or Mass Effect 3 personally. I know a lot of people disagree, but I didn't like any of them past the first one. Crimson Lotus is like that. Angel's Thesis, like that. Ancient, actually quite like that one quite a bit. And you can always switch these out. It doesn't consume the shader, so... this one is the kindled, and this is actually the one I'm probably going to go with. It has the flames, like the animated flames on the side. I do quite like that. But there's a couple others. Like I said, it's been a while since I went through all these, but Twilly, it's like that. I want to say that Dark Fire, and this one is actually pretty rare. I've only ever gotten one of these on here, but it tends to be pretty rare in my experience. Usurper is like that. It's basically a red version of the Twilly. There's the Taken. I don't know, that one's pretty nice, but I do like the animated ones though. Darkfire is like that. Like, that's pretty nasty looking, right? Pretty mean. And then we also have the Lucis Natura, which is like that. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Darkfire. I mean, the kindled is kind of nice. That actually looks kind of like a flamethrower. But yeah, let's go with Darkfire. Let's go with that one. Done. And now if we pull this thing out, like, look at that. That is a nasty looking flamethrower. Alright, let me warp back over. Let me dump off all of these. Okay, and let's go burn something. And I'm going to pop over to the Twilight Forest. I don't think yeah, there's nobody else on. I'm going to pop over to the Twilight Forest, and that's like the perfect place to test out flamethrowers, because there's just so many trees that it's a nice spot, I think. Not the Nether. I don't want to go to the Nether. I don't know what I'm thinking. We're going to go through here. Okay, so basically when you're using the chemical thrower, there is a pilot light button, and I can't remember what it is. Sneak and right click to toggle the, if it's a flammable fluid, it'll ignite it. Basically it turns on like a pilot light for you to use. Like if I don't turn on the pilot light and I shoot the napalm, say it launches napalm into the world, and then I could ignite that. Like if I had... I don't have a flint and steel, but like if there was fire around, it would ignite that napalm because it's a highly flammable substance. And you could also like douse mobs in napalm and then light them on fire, stuff like that. But what we can do is sneak right click, and you can actually, I was thinking that you could see the pilot light turned on, but you can't. But then if we, oh, it's right down there at the bottom right. You can actually see if I turn it off, that little symbol there in the center, it goes gray, shift right click, and then it turns on that pilot light. And now, boom, we can shoot flames into the world. And I want to say, I was thinking they would start a forest fire. I thought they did. Maybe not. Huh, okay. I was thinking that it would. I was thinking that it would burn things. Because I could have swore I remembered it like just catching things on fire, but maybe I'm thinking of a different flamethrower. Let me go find something to kill then. That's fine. It's whatever. Still cool to use a flamethrower. Okay, here's a spider. Here comes a spider. Like, look at that. It's a lot of damage. It is a whole lot of damage. Because napalm is so, like, just such a destructive... Oh, he ran away. But I bet he won't chase me. Like the minigun, like, they just don't... Yeah, look at him. He's over there burning. Where'd he go now? It'll actually probably kill him because that napalm burns for a while. It says he's right over here. Here we go. Here's a skeleton. There we go. Man, it like melts them so good. Did you drop a head? I don't see a head. Nope. All these death compasses though. It drives me insane. But we're just about out of napalm already. I really wish that they would allow you to have like a tank on your back. You know, with some stuff in it. That would be ideal. Ah! Okay, we're out of napalm. So it's definitely going to be kind of like a bursty weapon, but the thing is, I can catch the, you know, like catch the Ender Dragon on fire. And napalm does burn for a bit, and it does do quite a bit of damage. So, you know, if nothing else, I can do that. So, still a fun weapon, and it looks cool. I do kind of wish that they would allow you to put tanks on your back. I want tanks on my back for like extra, you know, maybe if it takes up like your chest piece slot, that's fine. But like extra liquid storage, because you will run through, especially using as a weapon like that, you'll run through the napalm pretty quick. So I don't know, I would like some kind of good way to like fuel it in the field, sort of a thing. And then I also want a gas mask. Just because. It doesn't have to actually do anything, but I want a gas mask. So, anyways, I am going to end out this episode here because I know it's wrapping up point. Sorry the flamethrower wasn't as cool. I must be thinking of a different flamethrower because I remember one that I was able to just go and just burn down forests. Because I remember just burning everything, but chances are it may have been a different flamethrower. Not the chemthrower, but, you know, a different actual flamethrower or something. Because I know there's a couple mods that add them. There's that one that adds like all the different guns and stuff. It's been a while since I've used it. But it's the one that the like the battlefield maps and stuff are based on. Because I used to play those on occasion. It's been a few years. Those were like 1.6 or 1.7 or something was the last time that mod really comes to mind. But I don't know. It was a string of mods that had like guns and cars and tanks and things like that. But helicopters and I don't even know what all. But I don't know. Anyways, it's still a really high damage weapon. The minigun's still really high damage weapon. I'm going to play around my test world and see what the best potion effect that I think we should rock for next episode is. And that way we've got, you know, the minigun. The flamethrower is going to be kind of a short-lived thing. Like, we're going to run out of napalm. But it's got pretty decent range, so we should be able to get the Ender Dragon, catch him on fire maybe. Or catch her on fire, I guess. And then the minigun, especially loaded on with a potion effect, it's going to be a pretty good weapon. And then we've also got the sentient bow. We might stick some... I guess technically I need to make Tartaric Gem, like a grand... probably destructive wheel, Tartaric Gem, for the sentient bow, because it'll increase our damage. So I might do that. Corrosive wheel's nice too. We haven't actually got into the special types of Tartaric gems, but I'm gonna have to run. I'll decide next episode, and then we'll make a Tartaric gem, and I'll quickly go over that at the start of next episode before we go into the end. But whatever wheel type I choose, I need to make sure that we're built up on those wheel crystals. So I'll make sure and do that between episodes. So, but next episode we'll dive into the end. We'll do like that, probably the presses. I mean, it's going to knock out a lot of this upper section here. And then this stuff, we'll get into that just basically one day when we have a little bit of free time, because not a whole lot to cover there. Basically, it's just a big multi-block kitchen. I used it pretty extensively in Qantas, even though that series was somewhat short-lived. I did use it pretty extensively on there, but it's so late into the pack, age 4, before you get the cooking with blockhead stuff, so it's like kind of like meh. It's kind of not really all that useful at this point, I don't feel like, because I've got aerial interface, so it's way better, you know. But there is one block in particular that I do want to cover, and that's the milk, the cow tank thing. But we'll do the other stuff on camera and get the advancements and everything. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already. Stay updated with when new videos come out. And I will say that we're not done with pneumatic craft, but we're done for right now. We're going to come back to that in a few episodes and do a couple more setups with pneumatic craft. And we'll also be using the pneumatic doors and more elevators before too long as well. And also there's the pneumatic helmet. We may get that crafted out. It'll basically, we just need to spend a little bit of time covering the upgrades, so we may cover that at the beginning of next episode as well. So maybe quickly cover, you know, alternate wheel types with the sentient bow, the pneumatic helmet, and then we'll move into the end and start knocking through some of that stuff. So, anyways, if you guys have any questions, as always, let me know down in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope to see you guys next time. Until then, as always, do take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys then.